At 5:47 a.m. on a Monday, I was sitting at my kitchen counter with a half-eaten protein bar, a Jira board that looked like a war crime, and a headset that had permanently bonded with the side of my skull. The coffee was cold. The sun was not up yet. My cat was judging me from the windowsill. My second call of the day was with a client in Singapore who wanted to escalate about an API latency issue that was not technically our fault. Their production environment had a configuration error on their end. I knew this. They knew this. But someone needed to take the heat. I de-escalated it like always, documented the root cause, offered a remediation plan, made them feel heard. 20 minutes later, the offshore QA team pinged about a backlog of regression tests stuck in someone's idea of a deployment pipeline. The pipeline Tyler had redesigned without consulting anyone who actually used it. The tests were failing because the new workflow did not account for time zone differences in the test data. I fixed that too, like I always did. This was just normal. For 6 years, I was the quiet engine keeping our largest enterprise contract from imploding. I did not ask for recognition. I did not make noise. I did not post about my wins on LinkedIn or ask for standing ovations at all hands. I just delivered, while the rest of the organization chased agile buzzwords and rearranged deck chairs on the Jira Titanic. I was putting out real fires with my bare hands and a wet, sticky note. The platform we built served 200,000 users. It processed 12 million transactions per month. It had a 99.97% uptime record. Those numbers existed because of my team, because of the systems we designed, because of the processes I implemented. The CTO, back when she actually ran things, once called me the system's immune response, said it during a board presentation, said it like she was introducing a superhero. I laughed at the time, but I knew what she meant. I kept the whole infrastructure from collapsing. That CTO left 8 months ago, burned out, fed up. She saw the writing on the wall before anyone else. If you are nodding along, hey, maybe hit that like button or even subscribe. 94% of you ghost listen anyway. It really does help the team behind the scenes keep pushing these stories out. All right, enough commercial. Let us get back to the wreckage. The thing is, quiet competence works until the volume gets cranked by someone who thinks shouting equals strategy. Enter Tyler. He arrived like a tech bro cannon out of a Stanford MBA catalog. Patagonia vest, AirPods permanently installed, a metrics fetish, and the kind of ego that required its own onboarding sprint. He walked into the office like he owned the place, which, in a way, he did. His uncle had made sure of that. His uncle, board member's old tennis partner, pulled strings to get him the VP of engineering title before he could spell Kubernetes, before he understood the difference between a microservice and a monolith, before he had ever managed a team larger than 3 interns at a startup that never shipped a product. He was 31 years old with 28 years of confidence and 3 years of experience. I met him in the hallway on his 3rd day. He was trying to connect his laptop to the conference room display, the same display I had helped install 2 years ago, the same display that had instructions posted on the wall next to it. Said something like, "You must be Amanda. I have heard you basically are this platform." I smiled. We both knew it was not a compliment. It was a warning. He was marking his territory, letting me know that whatever I had built, he planned to change. At first, he was all charm and awkward fist bumps, but within 6 weeks, it started. Meetings where I was suddenly not invited. Slack messages that went out to stakeholders without review, architecture decisions that ignored the realities of our client contracts, like gravity, was optional. He would CC me on announcements that affected my team, then ghost me when I asked for context. At one point, he called my work legacy technical debt in a company-wide Slack channel. I was not tagged. I was just the punchline. And the worst part, people started listening to him because he had a title and a jawline and a slide deck with the word velocity in 42-point font. He wore confidence like cologne. And most of the executives, too tired or too distracted, let him spray it everywhere. Meanwhile, I was still doing the job, still managing the platform, still fielding those early morning crisis calls, staying up late to review deployment configurations, checking pull requests line by line so nothing caught fire. My team knew. They saw what was happening, but we were told to align with Tyler's vision and lean into the transformation. What transformation? Taking a stable, revenue-generating platform and stuffing it into a blender labeled engineering efficiency. I did not argue. Not yet. I watched. I documented. And when he called my architecture bloated, I smiled and nodded. Let the boy hang himself with his own microservices. But I will admit, by the third time I was cut from a technical review, I felt it. That crawl in your chest that whispers they do not want you here anymore. Still, I had leverage. They just did not know it yet. And Tyler, he was about to find out what happens when you mistake silence for surrender. The first time, Tyler rewrote my deployment schedule without consulting me. I figured it was a rookie mistake. The second time, I thought maybe it was ego. By the third, when he rerouted a $3 million infrastructure contract through his former roommate's cloud consulting startup, I realized we were not dealing with inexperience. We were dealing with entitlement dressed up in a Patagonia vest. Tyler did not ask. He declared, one morning, I logged in and found a brand new monitoring tool live for my team. No notice, no testing, no integration verification, just a link in Slack with the caption, "Try this out. It is way cleaner." It did not even have proper authentication. Engineers spent 4 hours just figuring out how to connect it to our existing dashboards. We flagged the risks. I flagged the risks repeatedly. I kept a running list. Missing incident response protocols, unclear data access permissions, an API integration that had more security holes than a golf course has bunkers. I sent it to legal. I copied Tyler. He responded once. We will fix it on the fly. Ship fast. Iterate faster. Amanda. Ship fast. Iterate faster. Great slogan for a hackathon. Terrible for an $18 million enterprise platform with SLA guarantees. Then came the email. The one he sent department-wide. The subject line was Engineering Excellence, Phase 2. And right there in the fourth paragraph was this gem. Some legacy processes remain in place due to internal resistance from team members set in their ways. We appreciate your patience as we modernize. Set in their ways. He did not name me. But come on, I was the only principal engineer still remaining from the original platform build. It was a slap across the face, delivered with a passive-aggressive emoji. One of my junior developers messaged me right after. Was that about you? I did not answer. Instead, I reviewed the contract. The client contract. Because Tyler had started making noise about outsourcing the platform maintenance to a cheaper offshore operation. Shave 35% and look lean for the investors, he said in one meeting. Never mind that the client's master services agreement specifically required a US-based technical escalation lead. Never mind that I was named as the primary technical point of contact. And never mind that we had a clause buried 4 pages deep, added back in 2019 during the initial enterprise onboarding, that tied the contract's continuation to named personnel presence. Named personnel presence. Me. When I brought it up casually in a leadership sync, Tyler waved it off. We will get the client to amend that. It is outdated language. I asked if legal had reviewed his new plan. He smiled and said legal works for us. They will sign off. I could have laughed, but I did not. I just bookmarked the clause again and sent a quiet note to legal with the subject line. Reminder, Section 8.3, named technical personnel and continuity terms. No commentary, just the clause and a timestamp. After that, things moved faster. I was removed from weekly calls with the client. Tyler sent a customer success manager in my place. A well-meaning but deer-in-headlights type who thought SLA meant software-level agility. The client noticed. Of course they did. Where is Amanda? They asked on more than one call. Oh, she is working on internal optimization, the team replied. I was sitting 2 floors above them, watching, listening, waiting. The pressure started to build, not in outbursts, in the way every hallway conversation ended when I walked past. In the polite silences, in the sudden missed invites to meetings I had led for years. I was being erased, one calendar update at a time. But you do not erase someone like me that easily. You do not spend 6 years building a system with your fingerprints on every function just to get ghosted by a nepotism hire with an MBA and a hard-on for Terraform. So I stayed quiet, let them build their sandcastle, let them move the pieces, let them forget the foundation had my name on it in ink. It was the quarterly all-hands video call. Suits present, smiles fake. You know the kind. The family photo of corporate dysfunction, where everyone pretends Tyler is not just the board member's favor dressed in human form. I was slotted 3rd on the agenda. Right after the new marketing lead announced we had a TikTok presence now. My update was routine. Platform health, uptime metrics, incident response rates. The same block of data I delivered every quarter like clockwork. Except this time, I was not just reporting numbers. I was marking territory, showing that the platform was not just stable, it was thriving, and it was doing so under the architecture I had built. I had maybe 6 sentences in when it happened. Tyler leaned forward, smiling like he was about to propose to a reality TV judge. Actually, Amanda, he said, cutting me off mid-slide, this will be the last time you are presenting on this. We are outsourcing platform maintenance, effective next quarter. And then, just like that, he clicked the mute button, muted in front of the CEO, the board, the investors, the entire company. I could not unmute myself. He had disabled my presenter rights. Just a frozen image of me holding a pointer, mouth slightly open mid-statistic. Every fiber of corporate training screamed at me to stay composed. Behind the eyes, fire. You want to talk humiliation? Try having your legacy wiped like a dry erase board in front of 143 colleagues and 4 shareholders, while your replacement plan is announced like a product launch. You want to talk fury? Try being silenced in real time about a platform your fingerprints are embedded into, while a man who still does not understand the difference between git merge and git rebase calls it his efficiency win. Here is the thing Tyler did not know. You mute my mic. I sharpen my aim. I did not say a word. I did not flinch. I stared into that camera. like it owed me equity. And then I closed the laptop, mid-zoom, mid-smirk. Gone. Let him sit in that silence. Let him fumble through the rest of my report, like a drunk reading assembly code. What most people did not notice, what Tyler certainly did not see, was the general counsel 2 squares over on the Zoom grid. She leaned forward right after it happened, took out a pen, started writing something down. I caught it before I exited. Her expression was not confusion. It was calculation. Because you do not mute a named individual without consequence, especially not when her name is on the clause that protects the company's largest revenue stream. I did not go home that night. I went to my old folder labeled Continuity. I opened the contract, the real one, the one I helped draft during the chaos of 2019, the one that said in very plain legalese that if I resigned voluntarily, the client could walk, no fees, no arbitration, no termination penalties. I was the linchpin. And now the whole company had watched Tyler announce my irrelevance on the record, with witnesses, under a Zoom license that logs everything. So I started planning, not for revenge, for release. It was September 2019. The enterprise client was threatening to pull out of the deal unless we locked down a dedicated technical escalation lead. I remember sitting in my home office, which had become my war room, on a call with their VP of technology, a man named David, who did not suffer fools or latency spikes. We had been in negotiations for weeks. The platform was stable, but the client was nervous. They had been burned before by vendors who promised continuity and delivered chaos. His exact words were, "We need continuity. Amanda, not just in title, in person. She kept this platform alive. If she leaves, we leave." At the time, I was too buried in deadlines to realize how rare that sentence was. A client asking for a specific person by name in a contract. That almost never happens. I looped in legal. We drafted the clause. Standard at first, dedicated technical resource, subject to mutual agreement, blah, blah, blah. Then David sent back his red line. He added 3 words. Specifically, Amanda Chen. Our general counsel raised an eyebrow. You sure about this tying it to a person? Not a position. David did not blink. Your organization sells stability. She is stability. So we did it. Section 8.3. Continuity of named technical personnel. The language was very specific. It was not just a preference. It was not just a guideline. It was a contractual requirement. If the named person was fired, the client would have to be notified and given the opportunity to approve a replacement. But if the named person resigned voluntarily, the client could walk. No fees, no arbitration, no termination penalties. At the time, I thought it was just a formality, a nice gesture from a client who appreciated my work. I did not realize I was signing my own insurance policy. The clause was buried deep in the contract. Page 52 of a 73-page document. Most people never read past page 10. I had a copy saved in my personal files. I reviewed it every year during contract renewal, not because I was planning anything, just because I believed in knowing the terms of my own employment. Turns out, that habit would save me. It was not just ceremonial. It was not HR fluff. The clause gave the client the unilateral right to terminate the contract penalty-free if I resigned. Not fired, resigned. I had not thought about that clause in years. It was one of 1,000 fireproofing measures we had layered into the contract when the platform was young. Tyler, he had never read the original version. He had seen the sanitized summaries, the ones that made it all sound so plug and play. After the Zoom mute heard around the company, I pulled up the contract again. My version. Not the one in the shared drive that had been cleaned up by his admin assistant. The real one. There it was. Page 52, paragraph 3. If Amanda Chen, the named technical escalation lead, voluntarily resigns her employment, client reserves the right to terminate this agreement immediately without further obligation, notice, or financial penalty. You ever read a sentence that makes your blood go cold and then warm again? I stared at those words for a long time. Then I took a screenshot. I saved a PDF copy. I emailed both to myself. Subject line section 8.3 insurance. Then, without a word, I opened the secure legal repository we all had access to, the CYA folder we jokingly called it. I uploaded the full unedited contract, added one note in the metadata, original version, executed September 2019. I did not send an alert. I did not forward it with passive-aggressive commentary. I just made sure it was there, time-stamped, quietly breathing in the corner of the corporate server, waiting. The next morning, I walked into the office with 2 coffees. One for me, one for no one in particular. I smiled at the receptionist, chatted with the facilities guy about the broken elevator, played the part. But something had shifted, because knowledge is one thing, leverage is another. And I now had both. In writing, on record, Tyler. He had a mute button and a God complex. Let us see which one holds up in court. HR called me in 2 days after the Zoom ambush, voice trembling like they had drawn the short straw in a hostage negotiation. I walked in, iced coffee in hand, and sat down like I had nothing better to do. Because technically, I did not. Tyler had already gutted half my responsibilities. My calendar was empty, except for the meetings I was no longer invited to. The HR rep, Jessica, opened with the corporate soft sell. Hey, Amanda. Just wanted to circle back on Monday's call. I think there may have been a bit of miscommunication. I let the silence stretch until she got uncomfortable. She shifted in her seat, rearranged her papers, took a sip of water from a branded company tumbler. She tried again. Tyler's announcement. He did not mean it personally. You know, he is new to the culture here, still finding his rhythm. Sometimes new leaders come in with strong opinions and need time to understand the nuances. I blinked. He muted me in front of the board. Jessica? In front of 4 shareholders. In front of 143 employees. He announced my replacement while I was mid-sentence. She winced. I know it was not handled well, but we are hoping we can move forward constructively. I waited. She continued. The company values you. Amanda, we really do. Tyler's approach was perhaps more aggressive than it needed to be, but the underlying goals are sound. Efficiency matters. Transformation matters. I set down my coffee. Jessica, has anyone from leadership actually read Section 8.3 of the client contract? Her face went blank. I am not sure what you mean. The named personnel clause. The one that ties the contract's continuation to my presence. The one that allows the client to walk if I resign. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I would have to check with legal on that. Maybe you should, I said, before this conversation goes any further. She gave me that sympathetic HR smile, the kind that says, please do not sue us. Just internalize this emotional abuse like a team player. The kind they teach in HR certification courses. The kind that means nothing. Then she offered the olive branch. Maybe we could frame this transition as a strategic pivot. We would love to keep you involved during the handoff. Your expertise is valuable. We want to capture your institutional knowledge before the offshore team takes over. I sipped my coffee. Am I being terminated? Her mouth opened, then closed. Oh, no, of course not. You are still employed. We value you. This is just about finding the right role for you in the new structure. Translation. We are hoping you will not make this ugly. I stood up. Then we are done here. I walked out of that office knowing exactly what I was going to do, and knowing they had no idea what was coming. Outside the glass box of HR appeasement, my team was unraveling. Jake, my senior developer, caught me near the elevators. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. Amanda, people are freaking out. They heard about the clause. Is it true? I paused. What did you hear? That the client can walk. No penalties if you quit. That the whole contract is tied to you staying. I looked at him. Jake had been with me for 4 years. He had worked weekends. He had pulled all-nighters. He had believed in the platform we built together. Who told you? I asked. It is all over Slack. Someone from legal leaked something. Screenshots are going around. People are saying Tyler did not know, that he announced your replacement without reading the contract. I did not confirm or deny, just told him to keep his head down and not forward anything to his personal email. Let us not give them an excuse to pull security audits. Then I added something else. Jake, whatever happens next, it is not your fault. None of this is your fault. You did good work. The platform is solid because of people like you. Remember that. He looked at me for a long moment. Are you leaving? I did not answer. I just walked to my desk and started packing. Then came the moment. A junior lawyer, smart, nervous, probably still paying off law school, cornered me in the hallway like she had stumbled onto a corporate crime scene. Her voice low, eyes darting. Is it true, she asked. Section 8.3. That we lose the contract. If you leave, I did not break stride. You should check the signature page. She did, within hours. The legal shared folder was blinking, with views like a Reddit thread gone viral. The timestamp on my upload was there. Crystal clear, executed, still valid, still binding. The clock was ticking now. People were whispering. The client had gone suspiciously quiet. And Tyler, he was posting motivational quotes on Slack, like he had just discovered his first Gary V podcast. So I got to work. Final prep, no dramatics. I cleared my desk, not in a rage, but with the quiet efficiency of someone boxing up the last pieces of an era. A stress ball, a photo of my dog, my favorite mug that said Debug Queen in chipped gold letters. I wiped down my keyboard, deleted my browser cache, left the desk pristine. Let them wonder if I just stepped out for lunch. Then I opened Zoom, not for a call, for the settings. I uploaded a new virtual background, simple white text on a black field. Nothing fancy. I resign. Effective. 9:01 a.m. I did not need to yell. I did not need to post an essay on LinkedIn. I just needed to show up one last time. Let them see it with their own eyes. Let the lawyer lean forward. Let the CEO's stomach drop. The fuse was lit, and I was already walking away from the building. The next all hands was scheduled for 9:00 a.m. sharp. I could feel the digital tension humming through the meeting link before anyone even spoke. Cameras flickered on like stage lights. Board members, department heads, a few brave souls from customer success pretending they had not heard the rumors swirling all week. The Zoom grid filled up slowly. 143 faces. Some looked nervous. Some looked curious. Some were clearly just there because attendance was mandatory and they had not updated their calendars. I logged in at 8:59. Camera off, microphone muted, resignation letter folded neatly beside me. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. I had rehearsed this moment in my head 100 times. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew exactly how they would react. At 9:00 a.m., Tyler opened the show. "Morning, team," he chirped. Eyes too bright, suit too crisp. That perfect veneer of someone who has no idea what is about to happen. Excited to share some progress on our lean operations initiative. We are already seeing strong signals from the transition planning. The offshore team has been onboarded and is ready to take over platform maintenance starting next quarter. He clicked through a slide deck. Efficiency gains, cost projections, a timeline that showed my role being eliminated in 3 phases. He did not mention my name. He did not have to. Everyone knew whose position was being erased. He talked for exactly 60 seconds. I counted. Let him build his house of cards on camera. Let him make his promises. Let him commit to a plan that was about to collapse. Then I turned on my video. The virtual background filled the screen. White text, black field, simple, devastating. I resign. Effective. 9:01 a.m. For 3 seconds, nothing moved. Tyler's mouth was still open mid-sentence. His slide deck frozen on a chart showing projected savings. The CEO's face went from beige to ghost. The general counsel's pen stopped moving. One of the board members actually leaned back in their chair, like they had been physically pushed. The chat exploded. What is happening? Is this real? Did she just resign on camera? Someone check the contract. Tyler tried to mute me again. His hand scrambled for the controls, but it was too late. The recording had already captured everything. The timestamp was logged. The resignation was official. The founder typed in all caps in the chat. "What is happening?" Someone explain. I unmuted myself. The click was audible through the silence. Just long enough to say 5 words. Check section 8.3. Goodbye. My voice was calm, steady, the voice of someone who had already won. Then I left the meeting, closed the laptop, walked to my car. I did not look back. Behind me, I could imagine the chaos. Tyler fumbling through the rest of the agenda, the founder demanding answers, legal pulling up the contract, HR realizing what they had allowed to happen. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I did not answer. It buzzed again and again. By the time I reached my car, I had 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. I drove home with the windows down. The air smelled like freedom. By 10:00 a.m., the client's legal team had already requested a call. By noon, they had formally invoked the termination clause. By 3:00 p.m., $18 million in annual recurring revenue was walking out the door with me. The general counsel called me that afternoon, not to threaten, to confirm. The clause was triggered. She said, her voice was flat, professional. It was valid, binding, and ignored by leadership despite repeated warnings. She did not mention names. She did not need to. It was not just about the money. It was the optics. The founder's prized platform, built on 6 years of sweat, sleep deprivation, and a relentless stream of quiet miracles, had been vaporized by one ill-timed mute button and a nephew's inflated sense of invincibility. By sunset, tech Twitter had caught wind of the story. Someone leaked a vague thread. VP silences engineering lead on live Zoom. 24 hours later, largest client gone. Wonder why? The post had 14,000 likes in 2 hours. I got a text from Clara. one of my old team leads who had left the company 8 months ago. You nuked them with one gesture. Legendary. Then another from Jake. They are walking around like it is a crime scene. And another from someone I did not recognize. Section 8.3. Beautifully played. I did not reply to any of them. I was busy putting together a new onboarding plan for a different company. A new one. One that had called me earlier that morning to offer a consulting engagement. They had seen the fallout. They knew the value. They wanted the person who understood the system, not the boy who broke it. I was not angry anymore. That had drained out days ago. Now there was just that still, glassy sensation of vindication, of knowing you were right the whole time and letting the world catch up on their own. They outsourced my platform, but they forgot. It was the one thing they could not replace. The email leaked 3 days later. Nobody knew who sent it. Some said it was an intern in IT. Others swore it was someone from finance who had finally had enough. Does not matter. The board email hit the wider company, like a brick through a glass door. Subject line: you muted the named person. No greeting, no sign-off, just fury in prose. The founder was done pretending. He had stayed quiet through most of the fallout, hiding behind PR statements and back-channel spin. But now, with the Series C at risk, and investors calling him at all hours, his gloves were off. The email was not addressed to Tyler. It was about him. We entrusted him with continuity, and instead, we got ego. You do not silence the clause mid-call and expect no consequences. You muted the named person. You signed the exit slip with a smirk. By the time the company scrambled to contain it, screenshots were already in group chats across the organization. Someone made a meme. Tyler's face, photoshopped into the "This is fine" dog, surrounded by burning servers. By Friday, he was stripped of project oversight, quietly suspended, pending internal review. Though everyone knew what that meant, his Slack profile disappeared. His parking space was reassigned. His ergonomic standing desk was quietly returned to facilities. The only trace he left was a meeting titled Strategic Synergies that nobody had the heart or energy to delete. I heard later what happened in the executive meeting. The founder had called an emergency session the morning after my resignation. The room was silent when he walked in. He did not sit down. He just stood at the head of the table and looked at each person in turn. Who knew about Section 8.3, he asked. Hands went up. Legal knew. HR knew. Half the operations team knew. The only person who apparently did not know was the person who had been making all the decisions. Tyler, to his credit, tried to defend himself. I was told the clause was outdated. He said, I was told we could get the client to amend it. I was following the transformation playbook. The founder did not respond. He just pulled up the timestamp on the legal repository, the one showing I had uploaded the original contract 2 days before the all-hands, the one showing multiple views from the legal team, the one showing exactly 0 views from Tyler's account. You had 48 hours to read a document that would have saved this company $18 million. The founder said, you did not even open it. Tyler tried one more time. She was blocking progress. She was resistant to change. She was set in her ways. The founder shook his head. She was the contract. Tyler, she was literally written into the agreement. And you muted her on a camera in front of the entire company. That was the last time Tyler spoke in that room. His departure was announced the following week. The press release said he was leaving to pursue other opportunities. The industry knew better. His LinkedIn went quiet. His uncle stopped returning calls from the board. His former roommate's cloud consulting startup suddenly lost their biggest referral source. Meanwhile, legal did what legal does when they are tired of being ignored. They confirmed the clause's validity in writing and forwarded it to every active client on the books for transparency. It was a calculated move, a signal flare to the market that yes, the company had failed, but only because certain people forgot how contracts work. They could not spin it anymore. They had to own it. The Series C funding round was postponed indefinitely. The investors wanted stability. They got a viral Zoom resignation and a cratered retention forecast. The company's valuation dropped by double digits. Recruiting froze. A few key engineers jumped ship. 2 more enterprise clients requested contract reviews. Suddenly, very interested in their own named personnel clauses. The ripple effects continued for weeks. The head of HR resigned, not because she was forced out, but because she had warned leadership about Tyler 3 times and been overruled each time. She sent me a message before she left. "You did what I could not. Thank you." I did not respond. I did not need to. The general counsel was promoted. Apparently, being the only person who documented the risk properly had its rewards. She called me personally to let me know. "I told them," she said. "I told them for months." They did not listen until it cost them $18 million. I asked her why she was telling me this. "Because you should know," she said. "You were not the problem. You were never the problem. And now everyone knows it." But me, I was already 6 steps ahead. I had accepted the consulting offer. New office, new badge, new start. Nothing flashy, just 4 walls, a decent chair, and a client who asked before making changes. That Tuesday morning, a bouquet arrived. Deep crimson roses. Simple, elegant, no card, just a single folded note tucked under the ribbon. "If you ever want to come back, we will do it your way." I did not smile. I did not cry. I just placed the note in my drawer next to a copy of the clause they forgot. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I had stayed quiet, if I had accepted the strategic pivot, if I had let Tyler outsource my platform and erase my legacy one Slack message at a time. I probably would have survived. I probably would have found another role. I probably would have spent years watching someone else take credit for work I had done. But I did not. I chose to leave on my terms. I chose to make my exit visible. I chose to let the clause do what it was designed to do. The consulting engagement turned into a full-time offer within 3 months. Better title, better compensation, better culture. A company that understood that the people who build systems are not interchangeable. A company that read contracts before making decisions. A company that asked questions before hitting mute buttons. I took it. Now I manage a team of 15 engineers. We build platforms for clients who value stability over velocity. We have clauses in our contracts too, not because we expect anyone to use them, because we believe in insurance, because we learned from watching what happens when people do not read the fine print. Last week, I got a message from Jake. He had left the old company too. Most of the original team had. The ones who stayed were updating their resumes. "They are still trying to rebuild," he wrote. "They hired 3 people to replace you. It is not going well. The client never came back. The platform is barely maintained. Tyler's offshore team missed 2 critical security patches." I did not respond. There was nothing left to say. They had their transformation. I had my freedom. They had their cost projections. I had my integrity. They had Tyler. I had Section 8.3. Some trades are worth making. This was one of them. Funny. I never raised my voice. I just made sure they finally listened. appreciate you sticking around, you wise old rebels. Smash that subscribe button, or this fossil might just cause another epic fiasco.